Hi, Jay Randall.
Hi.
Starting out goofy as always. I love it. I love it. What's going on, Facebook world and YouTube world? I always neglect the YouTube audience.
What about all the people on the podcast now? Now you got to say all those out.
Yeah, sorry, all you podcast listeners who are listening to this after the live show.
This is true.
Justin Staley in the house. How's it going? It's going pretty good, I would say. Got a fun show lined up this evening for you guys and gals. We got two road warriors on the podcast tonight, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. I know we were talking a little bit as we were getting set up with Katherine, and I told her I was jealous. I told her I would admit that on the podcast. So, and Alan Reed, I spent a lot of time on the road with him last year, and I talk to him on the phone every once in a while, and I'm always like, so where are you at today, dude?
Yeah, that dude's always out.
So he's always traveling around. But before we get to that, I'm going to pop a little something up here. Next week's show, next Thursday, we're going to be talking about this, the Paddle and Fin 2021 Trail Series. 5 stops, 1 invitational, 1 championship, 1 clash of clubs, and 1 open event. Yep. You see it. We've been teasing. Get ready. Gonna be exciting. What do you think about that, Jay? Are you excited?
Yes.
Way to show enthusiasm, Jason.
Wait, I can do it again. Yes. Yes.
Look, Richie Lockery put it perfectly. The Doofus Duo. I like it.
So he's going to be the first one we ban?
Yeah.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, we were talking about the first guest we ever banned, and Richie's been a guest.
Richie, I don't know, man. You're in the lead so far, buddy.
Well, let's quit goofing around and let's get Miss Katherine Field and Alan Reed up in here. Lady, gentlemen, how we doing this evening?
Doing great, guys. How's it going?
Good.
What's up, guys?
Alan, where are you
looks like he's in a bar. I'm a little jealous of that.
Well, I am on the road as we speak, so I had to find a place that had a decent background setting. A campground wasn't going to work.
Yeah. What state are you in?
I'm in Florence, Alabama. So I went along the edge of the hurricane last night as it was rolling through, a lot of rain. But we were dry.
You were dry in a hurricane in a tent?
Yeah, in the tent. That old thing, man, it's been around for 10 years and never leaked a drop of water. So
I love it. Well, we're going to get into it tonight. Welcome everybody that's tuned in. We got Dustin Nichols in the house. Susie Roloff said, Kate
Hey, guys.
Field,
I love me some Susie. She's
Bradley
awesome.
John, Matt Lintzman. Welcome. So we're talking about you guys and, how you guys are traveling, living life on the road, following the tournament trails, all that good stuff. So we'll start with you, Katherine. Like, what like really inspired you to like? You want us to start with Alan? She's like, geez.
No, you can start with me. It's fine.
What inspired you to like just pick up and start chasing the trails and living life on the road?
Well, okay. It's a little convoluted, but I think sort of the biggest advantage I had was COVID, to be perfectly honest, because most, I work full time, and with COVID, we could not be in the office. We got, sent to work remotely from home. And I had been thinking about making a change in my life for quite a while. I just wasn't sure how I wanted to do that or what that was going to look like. I was pretty unhappy with the direction I was going. And so I sort of moved to southern Utah for a few months during the height of all that COVID shutdown. And when they opened back up, they had a Hobie BOS on Kentucky Lake. And, I'd already not been at home for a few months. And so I drove to Kentucky Lake and did that. And then, I think I drove like 37 hours in a 48-hour time period to get back home in order to go to work. And I realized I'm working. I drove all that way and killed myself to get home to sit in my spare bedroom and work on my computer. And I realized I could do this from anywhere. I'm so done with this. And pretty much a week after that, it was within a week, I basically put 7 days worth of clothes in a bag and grabbed my poles and some tackle and headed out, and really didn't have a big plan onto where I was going to go. I wanted to do, of course, all the Hobie trail tournaments, any other trail tournaments that I could go to along the way. And then I just wanted to explore and see America and fish new fisheries and learn as I went and try and improve that way. And I will say, another one thing that was sort of made me realize I shouldn't wait, was a certain other lady angler rolled her car right off a mountain. So I realized life's too short, man. What am I going to wait around for until I'm 60 and do this? I'm not going to wait. And that really sort of had rolled that right in the middle of COVID to really start that, make my life different than what it was. So
I like it. I mean, I think that's key, I question that myself, why not now type of thing, or is it going to be one of those things when I get older, it's too late,
yeah.
Jay and I always talked about that,
Yeah, and I turned 50 this summer, and so that maybe it's, a midlife crisis or something like that, but it's the best midlife crisis I've had, I guess. But I'm still learning. I mean, I left really without a giant plan about it and I wanted to just figure it out as I went along and decide how I wanted to do this. My work now is just told us we are not coming back to the office for 2020. So,
oh wow,
jeez.
So which is good because that has put off the discussion that I was going to have about how I wasn't going to come back.
Yeah.
So if you're watching, just prepare yourself because we're going to have a discussion because I feel like I'm not going to return back to what I was doing. I'm going to stay out here.
Right on.
And I was going to say, I think a lot of companies are kind of going through a forced reconciliation or of sorts, or analysis, what can we do? How can we function? My work unfortunately like doesn't want to do this because for whatever reason they like having us in the office, and I've gotten used to not being there. But
Yeah.
but
Which
I mean,
means Jay can't wake up in basketball shorts and a t-shirt and get on a Zoom call anymore.
yeah, that's right.
I
That's like,
hey, I still get dressed every day and try to do adult things, but
I'm
it's
doing
definitely
adult things.
it's hard.
The
You
video's
cannot do
not
it. You cannot zoom it
on.
you can't work from home in your pajamas. It just doesn't
Sure
work
you
that way.
can.
No,
It's the greatest thing. He forgot to say.
it's the greatest thing.
I put slides on. I mean, that's dressing up. I got like the typical confused like middle-aged guy with
Oh man.
socks and slides. Because my feet get a little chilly.
You need a little slanket to go with that. Just blur out the background. You'll be good.
There you go.
Or show up in that big whoopee thing that you can like totally be in.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, what about you, Alan, man? Like you and I spent a lot of time on the road last year, and I remember there was times we'd be pre-fishing together and you're taking work conference calls while you're on the water and stuff. And I'm like, man, this dude's got it made. But then this year, like you've really hit it hard. And I know, if you guys don't follow Alan's YouTube channel, he kind of started this series called The Journeyman, which I think is pretty cool. And we'll let you explain all that good stuff, man. But what really gave you like the kick in the rear to get out there and chase it down even harder this year?
Yeah. Well, like you said, last year, was on the tournament trails doing all this stuff. I drove 25,000 miles for tournaments last year.
Yeah.
And
that's insane.
Catherine's already driven across the U.S. like 3 or 4 times.
That's true.
Probably has to beat, but this year, right, it was kind of the same thing. I had an agreement with my boss last year that I was working on the road and everything was being successful. Being out there doing all the stuff that you were talking about. But then we did a reorg at work this year in January, and I was kind of debating. I was like, man, I don't know how this is going to work. I got a new boss and all this kind of stuff, and kind of like Katherine, it's like COVID was like the best thing that happened, right? Because then it wasn't a question.
Yeah.
I didn't have to go have that conversation again. Like I'm proving now that I can do all the stuff that I do on the road. And so I was doing everything like I was last year, traveling to tournaments and then, going back to Indiana and then working and then leaving for the next ones. And it was the same kind of thing. But then they said, well, we're not going back into the office at least until the end of the year. That's probably going to be longer than that. And I said, you know what? Then I'm going to quit driving back here all the time. And I'm just going to go from place to place that I want to. If I don't have a tournament, then I'm going to go someplace that I want to fish or I want to learn about that I've not seen yet. And so that really kind of happened a couple of weeks before Labor Day. Was when I just said, hey, that's it. I put all my stuff in storage and been on the road ever since. So we'll see what happens after this, but I'm proving right now that I can do the job that I have, and I'm fortunate to be able to do that. Right, and I know everybody out there doesn't have those kind of jobs where you can be remote and do that. But the other part for me is I traveled for work for 14 years, so I'm familiar with how to work not in an office. The people that report to me have never all been in the same city, so. Even today, I have people that aren't all in the same city. So for me to not be at one office, it doesn't matter to me. It's just get the job done. And it's been great, right? Getting to be out there and see so many things, meet so many different people. And probably the biggest thing that as I was going through this, and I reached out to Katherine too, and I said, hey,
I remember.
I'm thinking about doing this. Like, tell me why I shouldn't, right? Like,
I don't think I had any reasons why you should not. I think I was very supportive of this.
You were, and that's how everybody was. I reached out to several
Yeah.
people, like, tell me why I shouldn't do this, given my current situation. And everybody's like, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't do it. Like, go live it now, go do it.
Mhm.
And honestly, it's been one of the best things that I've done. You come across people as you're traveling around, and there's a bit of an admiration, right? I think that we're kind of doing what everybody would like to do. That's the feedback I get. Who wouldn't want to go wherever you want to go and fish? I mean, yeah, we're still working, right? So don't think it's all playtime out on the water, right? There's still jobs to be done, but that's the feedback that I get.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
not as easy as it sounds, though.
right.
No, it's not. There's definitely challenges.
No, yeah.
So I guess here's $1 million question, right? So say somewhere along the lines, COVID gets handled, goes away, and they're ask you guys to come back to the office and settle down.
I am not settling down. Are you kidding me?
Catherine's
At
like,
least- no. Mm-mm.
So I
Yeah.
think I look at it and say I pretty much did this in a non-COVID environment.
so yeah, why not?
Yep.
Be successful with it. So if we get to that point, I'm gonna plead my case and show say, hey, this is all the stuff that I've been able to do not in the office. And I don't know. Everybody asks me, like, how long am I going to do this? And my mom, she's like, what are you going to do when it gets cold? And it's like, well, I'll go south.
I'll just go south. Yeah, I mean, why
I don't
why
know,
not?
man. I don't like alligators, bro. I'm just saying. And
You don't like anything.
the further south you go, the gators get bigger and the spiders get bigger. I don't know. Waking
I
up,
like the
crawling
way
on
you think, Alan.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
cool, man. I like I told Catherine, in the green room before we got started is, like I'm jealous for sure, unfortunately my job restricts me to, the home area and stuff. And, it's like, I've always thought about like, could I find a remote job? Is it possible? Things like that to
it, Brian.
do what you guys do.
Do it.
My wife and children probably wouldn't agree.
Yeah, I
with you.
know. And it's not like
No, they
yours
would.
versus it remote.
The wife probably wouldn't care. She less laundry, less
Yeah.
cleaning up after me.
Yeah.
She basically says I'm one of the kids. So like, it'd be like one of the kids moving out of the house for a little bit. But it's something like her and I have talked about. Our kids are older, and they're getting to that point. One's still in high school, the other one's graduated, and it's like we've always talked about being on the road. We both like traveling. She just doesn't like fishing as much as I do.
I know we both talked about this idea a lot,
Yeah.
and it's funny because and this goes back to like when we're meeting everybody and we're like, yeah, you can come on out to Illinois. Nobody wants to come to Illinois. Nobody. So that's how you live in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Like when nobody wants to vacation where you live.
I always have to throw in I'm like 10 minutes from the Wisconsin border.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like makes it a little better.
But I mean, you're talking about it, right? There's a lot of people that kind of admire what we're doing, but it really isn't for everybody, right?
Right.
Katherine alluded, right? There are challenges that come with this. She said she left without a plan. I left without a plan, right? I didn't know where I was going or
Bring more than 7 days worth of clothes. That's my first tip.
Yeah.
Because things get desperate on day 7.
Oh, I got to do laundry.
Yeah.
I did that. Yeah. I think last year I had that one stretch where I went to Kansas and then straight over to Tennessee for that FLW KBF tournament. And I was on the road for 14, 15 days, something like that. And, that was the thing. I remember putting a whole day of pre-fishing in, and then it was like, oh, I gotta go do laundry. I gotta cook food.
So Brian,
I got to talk to Gary Yamamoto, who's camped out next to me. I mean, that was a rough night, you know?
Yeah.
So it's, I realize like it's fall now. It's starting to get a little cooler. I left in June, so I only have like I have summer clothes. So
Oh,
I got to figure out what I'm gonna do because all my warm stuff's back in Utah, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
so I did make a stop back through before coming down to Alabama, and I got jackets and some long sleeve shirts and things like that. So I kind of reloaded. I did grab the winter hat, kind of in preparation for places that I know I'm going to end up going. But I like this trip. I left Indiana and I didn't know where I was going. It's like I might go back to Virginia, maybe I'll go to South Carolina, maybe I'll go to Alabama. Um, And it wasn't until I got to Nashville and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to Alabama.
That sounds
And
rough.
not everybody lives that way, right? A lot of people want everything really planned out. Trying to, trying to do it on the fly, I guess, isn't everybody's cup of tea.
I do try and plan though. I'm trying to learn to be a little more agile and spur of the moment, but I like to have at least an idea of where I'm going to go because I mean, I have obligations with my job. So I have to make sure that, I have a place I can work, that I have enough signal and, you know, that kind of thing because I don't want to jeopardize that at this point yet. So, but there'll be a point where I decide to do something else and that may be coming sooner rather than later, but you gotta for me at least because I have those obligations. If I didn't have those obligations, I think I could be a little more free with where I went. Because I've done some sort of crazy distances
yeah.
and I enjoy it a lot, but a lot of this year has been some pretty long distance traveling. Yeah, so we'll see.
Well,
I'd like to do a little more stop and explore than I have, but a lot of it's just chasing tournaments and trying to get there and work and not burn all my PTO, which is usually, like I'll work and try and get a late checkout of a hotel or something like that, and then drive till like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, and then get a little sleep and then work and then like bunny hop my way without trying to burn my PTO because it's such, especially if it's I got to cover like 1,200 miles or something like that. It takes a significant amount of planning to get to do your job and
still
fulfill
travel.
those obligations and still travel and get to the next place and make some progress on that and still have time to go fish in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was interesting, like, now that the tournament season's kind of winding down, like I talked to Alan last weekend on the phone and, joking around. I was like, well, where you at? Where you at today, Alan? And he's like, I'm in Alabama. And it was cool. He's doing kind of what you're talking about, doing a little bit more exploring around and stuff. And he was fishing some lakes down there. That he knows are going to be on the tournament trail for next season. And he's like, why not get a leg up, And that was kind of his way of thinking. And I thought that was actually pretty genius, and it was really cool.
Well, and they're lakes that, are just epic lakes, right? That people are known to go fish here. So that's part of it too, is trying to get the experience on lakes, even if it's not next year's tournament trail.
Right.
Just be out here because anytime that you're on the water, you're going to learn something that you can apply at some other point. So that's a piece of it too. But I did that. So when I left Labor Day weekend, I was headed up to Maine, and I stopped off in Cleveland and Buffalo and went to Niagara Falls and
I remember that. Yeah.
Ontario, Lake Ontario, and talked to people and just a lot of stuff there. And that was really the first time that I'd kind of stopped to smell the roses on the way because I'm normally in a rush. trying to make it to a tournament location to fish. So, and that's another piece to it, right? If you can stop and kind of see those places along the way.
Yeah.
Dustin
Someday.
Nichols, our man in the chat, he said, I just barred the whole trip. And we figured it out when we were down in Gale Hollow, Tennessee 2 weekends ago. He said he was up for, what was it, 43 hours?
Mm-hmm.
He worked like a whole 12-hour shift and then like drove 16 hours to Tennessee and then still decided to get on the water, fish, have dinner and a couple of drinks with us before he actually went to bed.
Crazy.
That's
And,
hardcore.
He also said you guys should come to Texas. They got a big charity bass tournament in December, and their trails kick off in January on the power plant lake.
Yay. I love
So-
me some Texas.
There you go. So he's giving you guys some ideas, some travel ideas there.
I'm gonna learn to ice fish though in January. So
Ah,
that's gonna be
come to Illinois.
You
We got
cannot-
plenty of
Yeah,
ice.
now come to Illinois.
you can, I think I'm gonna go fish on Mille Lacs
Yeah.
and learn to ice fish up
Yeah,
there.
that's probably a better place.
Let me know when you go up there. I got a good friend of mine. He's usually got a permanent ice shack out on the ice, out on 3 Mile Reef. And
Nice.
they're usually hammering the walleyes out there. I didn't say
That'll be
that.
fun.
It's a pretty
I'm going to it's put together by Alicia Joy Outdoors. She does this Midwest meetup.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
so you guys should check her out and see what she does. She does a lot of cool stuff. So they're going to do a thing for women learning to ice fish. So that's why I'm excited to sit in a shack in my pajamas and fish.
It's pretty crazy.
It's the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, is that the one that's got the bar on it too? Does the Mille Lacs?
Mille Lacs does have.
Is it Green Bay too, right?
No, Green Bay doesn't usually have it, but I know on Mille Lacs there's usually, I forget what part of the lake it's on, but they have a big shack out there that's got a bar on the ice. If not, it's
wait. There's a bar on the ice.
You can fish
and
Pretty
you
awesome.
can fish while you sit
can
at the
fish.
bar.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
If not,
That's
it's
pretty
Red-
awesome.
If not, it's Red Lake, Minnesota. But yeah, I remember the first time I went up there, and like my buddy's like, "All right, we're driving out to the shack," and it was 3 Mile Reef. It's 3 miles offshore, and you're driving across a frozen lake, and I'm like, "This is a little crazy." And you get out there, but like you said, you got rattle reels set up in the ice shack. I know we're getting a little off track, but I remember
It's
waking up
about the travel though.
at 4 a.m. and catching a 27-inch walleye through the ice. And I was like, "Hey, Scotty, get out of bed. Take a picture of this." And he's like, "Huh? What? No, I don't." I'm like, "Dude, come on. It's a huge walleye. Like, take a picture for me, bro." He's all right. Takes a picture and goes back to bed. And that's what you do. It's fun. You'll enjoy it.
It'll be fun. So I want to do that and go to Texas too now. So
There you go. Go ahead, Alan.
Katherine, what do you think is the most kind of unique thing that's happened to you while you've been out traveling on the road?
what's the most unique thing?
Yeah, like what you look at it and say, that's an experience I'll never forget.
Honestly, like I've been having the time of my life. It's hard to dissect any of it into just that because they've all been that for me. I mean, I started out and I just headed through like Wyoming. I got up to like Devil's Tower and headed up to Mille Lacs, and I've gone coast to coast and border to border, and all of it has been just an amazing journey, and I haven't gotten tired of it. In fact, I mean, right now is probably the longest I've gone without traveling. so it's hard a little bit for me right now. But I'm looking forward to getting back out there and traveling. But so I'm setting up a base camp here a little bit
Well, you'll be
to make the
central.
traveling easier. Yeah. So
Yeah, you'll
so we have
definitely
this
be central. So
Yeah, so I can get a little more experience on these lakes without having to necessarily, for me, the hard part really was just between the tournaments and just job stuff is where do I go? I want to go explore something, but it can be expensive, and I wanted to do this in a sort of a smarter way. So, I thought about like a truck camper. Alan's way too hardcore for me. I could not do a tent.
It's not always
No,
a tent. It's not
I
always a
cannot
tent.
do it. No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
No, my
I
tent
couldn't.
is it's pretty nice. I mean, I blow up an air mattress in there, and I've got blankets down and blankets
No,
up.
Alan, I cannot.
I mean, I will say, Alan decks
He's
his tent
hardcore.
out. He's pretty comfortable in that thing,
you still on that same like little one?
Yeah, same one as last year.
Like
Yeah,
it's the same one.
Yep, that tent has been through a lot with me, and
Oh
it's
my God.
comfortable. I've kind of made it my own little home.
That's
So-
like it's like one of those ones that says for 3 was really for like one and a half.
Yeah,
Especially because he's tall.
he is a taller
You sleep
guy.
diagonal in that thing, don't you?
But I'll tell you what. So this was probably I know I've had a few unique experiences on the road, stuff that I'll never forget, and friends that I'll probably never stop talking to. So I went up to Wisconsin it was the Super Trail event up there, and I've been fishing in Oshkosh all week and kept going up the river and finding new places to fish. And finally, I settled on an area the day before the tournament, and it was about an hour away from where I was staying. And I didn't want to drive all the way back and then have to be up at 2:30 in the morning to drive back to that spot. So I went up to the landing there, and they had a ramp. And in Wisconsin, every one of those landings has a campground, and every campground has a bar. And so I went up to the bar there, and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I sleep at your ramp here tonight? I don't want to drive all the way down." And they said, "Oh yeah, you're fine." And I said, "I got to charge some batteries. A place I can charge those." And they said, "Yep." And I was all set up. Batteries were charging. Asked them if they had food, and they said, "We can make you a frozen pizza, but you probably want something better than that." So they told me there was a couple places about 10 minutes away I could go for Friday fish fry night.
Nice.
So I went over to one of those locations and was sitting there waiting on my food to come out. And this couple came and sat next to me at the bar. And the guy was really into hunting and fishing, and a lot of laughs that night, and just talking and telling stories. And finally the guy says, "Where are you staying?" I said, "Well, I'm staying over at this landing." He says, "No, you're not." I said, "Well, I am. I mean, I've already got it arranged. That's the deal. Like, what are you talking about?" He's like, "No, you're not staying there." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Look, we've got a camper here in the campground. We're building a house like 2 miles away. You're more than welcome to stay in that camper for the next 2 nights." He said, "You got a big screen TV, queen size bed, hot shower, like everything you need." And so I took him up on it. I wasn't quite sure what I might be walking into, but it was all legit, and it was really good. And so I stayed there that night.
I would never do that. Never.
Well, and the next day they said, "Oh, just send me a big fish picture." And so I sent them a big fish picture the next day, and they're like, "Wow, yeah, that's great." And I said, "So I'm good to stay there again tonight, right?" And they said, "Yep, you're good to stay." And about 10 minutes later, they texted me and said, "Hey, Mark wants you to come out to the house for dinner. Can you be here?" And I said, "Well, sure. I mean, I'll be there. I just got to get the batteries on the charger, and then I'll head over." So they invited me out to their house, and we grilled chicken and vegetables out of their garden and hung out for the night. I went back to the camper, and it's people that I still today text with. And, they told me, said, "Hey, they got a couple other houses in northern Wisconsin. So if I ever needed a place to stay." So it's those kind of experience. I really try to embrace that stuff and meet the people where I'm going, and kind of share my story, hear their story. That's what a lot of it is for me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. I mean, that's super cool. I mean, I think anywhere we all go, I mean, for the most part, the people are welcoming. They're interested about kayak fishing when you start talking about it, or, like when we were down in Dale Hollow 2 weeks ago, we walked into a little restaurant
Mm-hmm.
that we were definitely out of place. You could definitely tell the two city boys were not from around those parts. And we had started talking with the lady. Her and her husband owned this little barbecue joint, and super friendly, and they were super interested on like why we were there, why we chose to come to Dale Hollow Lake, and things like that. You know, needless to say, we had some great barbecue. Even got served a little backdoor moonshine, and
Yeah, that was pretty good.
you know, we had a great night. And that's the thing. Like that's something that we'll talk about forever. You know, which is totally cool and different and unique.
Yeah, but wasn't it funny? Everybody just wants to bust you out too. When
Yeah.
you're from, like, you know, there. It's like I found us like having to constantly defend where we live. You know, it's like because you know it's you're going.
Chicago's not the most favorite place on the
Yeah,
planet right
it's
now.
like when they find out they got like infiltrators, they're like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, it's cool. Let's put the gun away. We're good. We're good. Like we're the good kind.
Yeah.
We're the kind you want here.
But
I found the weirdest thing in Tennessee is for some reason they think I'm from Maine. And I don't understand that. They go, "You're not from around here." Like, no.
So what do they say when you tell them you're actually from Utah?
Utah, then they look at me like, you know, trying to figure out if I'm, you know, a missionary or what. You know, they give me like this look like
did your transmission broke? Like, you know.
like, yeah, what are you doing down here, little lady? But yeah, no, that's a lot of them. I don't think they say, they're like, Utah.
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah.
What is that? Oh, that's great. Well, I mean, what's the plans for next year? Are you guys going to just, as long as things keep going the way they're going, just keep grinding it out, nailing the tournament trails, traveling around, things like that? And I guess that's two-part too. Like if somebody listening in tonight wanted to maybe make that leap, what kind of advice would you give those folks? We'll start with Alan because we started with Katherine the last time.
Well, there's definitely different ways to go about doing this. You know, kind of like Katherine and I talked about, right? I just kind of jumped in, and I like not having a firm plan. I know some of the tournaments I'm going to hit, but I've had stuff, you know, where I've been on the road and I'm on a place or on my way to fish a tournament, and then decided to go elsewhere because there was another tournament that probably meant more to me at that time. So I think there's some of that. You know, you have to be willing to have some flexibility, especially if you're not just loaded, right? I mean, so if you have all the money in the world, you can stay in the best hotels around everywhere. That's certainly a huge benefit, I guess, to you. But if you're not trying to spend all that money on lodging all the time, then you look for other things. So, like I said, I obviously stayed in the camper, which is probably the most unique. I have my tent, which is not the most luxurious, but it gets me by. We've done Airbnbs, shared hotels with people's houses. So there's a lot of ways you can go about doing this, and you can be creative about how you do it and try to save on some of those expenses. So that'd be my first piece of advice: is don't get locked in that you have to stay in any certain kind of place. Right? Be flexible, and it's going to work out to your benefit.
Yeah. Kathy?
Well, I mean, I agree with Alan said, and you can also really, if you look around on the internet, you can find some things that aren't necessarily up on Airbnb or VRBO. There's a lot of sort of mom and pops that have cabin rentals or things like that you can find that might be reasonable, that they aren't necessarily advertising in the typical Airbnb way. Some of the nicer places that I found, not nicer as like it's super expensive, but some of them been just on their own. They had their own mom and pop set up, and they wouldn't do like internet payments, like you got to like
Sure.
have a check and stuff like that. As far as taking the leap, both Alan and I just sort of jumped in the deep end a little bit here. And I think that can be really scary for a lot of people. You also like, I don't have the anchoring tie downs as far as like, a relationship or things that I have to manage, right? So I can pretty much roam free as I want, and not everybody can do that. So, if you are thinking of trying to go and travel and do that, I think, my recommendation is try some small trips, especially for women that want to get out there and try and travel by yourself. Do some small trips that are maybe a day away from home or something, just to get your feet wet and get used to being out there and being by yourself. I'm, for the most part, pretty comfortable being alone out in nowhere for the most part. There's some nights where it's a little spooky, if you hear a lot of coyotes or things like that, and you're out, it's jet black out there. So I'll bring things like, I have and I do have a truck and camper back in Utah, and I would take that out sort of more locally. But I had like a satellite radio, and so I'd play like Grand Old Opry and stuff like that that had some good things that you could listen to, sort of like being around a campfire kind of feel. But for first timers and people really want to explore, I think it's important to, if you're not comfortable just doing the cannonball in the deep end, is really do some short distance explorations. And if you've not spent time alone by yourself, I highly recommend trying that out first, because I think it can be really hard if one of the biggest lessons in life I learned is, if you're not really good with yourself and like yourself a lot, and you go out in the middle of nowhere by yourself, guess who you're stuck with? So you got to have a little more confidence in yourself and be able to handle that. So I think that's an important thing to sort of dabble in and learn if you are unsure about that, because this is a definite switch in mindset, and there's obviously challenges in that, but I find it worthwhile. And I think if you're thinking about that, I would say try it, and just try it in small doses at first and see if that's something you like. And it might be more economical that way, more feasible that way, and then broaden your horizons. But as far as like next year, like my plans are big.
Oh, I like it.
My plans are big. Yeah, I'm gonna go really hard next year. So I'm gonna be all over the place, and I'm gonna turn this up to 11.
Nice.
So,
My amp
yeah.
goes to 11.
So I think that point that Catherine
I
made-
know someone can appreciate Spinal Tap for once. Like I say that, and everybody like gets this blank look, but you're the only one who knows what the heck I'm talking about on that.
I think you know what that is, right?
It's Spinal Tap.
I was gonna say we'd have to like not be friends anymore if you didn't know what that was.
But it goes to 11. Yeah.
You were gonna say something, Alan. Sorry, man. We got on a Spinal Tap kick.
Sorry, Alan.
Oh, you're all right. So I was going to say that the point that Katherine was making about being out on the road by yourself, I have a lot of people ask me this, is, well, aren't you lonely? Right? I mean, it's hours and hours in the car or truck or whatever you drive by yourself. Then, especially this year, with all the COVID stuff, right? We don't have all the meetups. People aren't getting together the same way that we did last year. So it's certainly been different this year than we were traveling around last year, Brian. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys all backed out on me. First off,
No. No. I did go to Table Rock this year. You weren't there. I was
I was
sad.
at Table Rock.
Were you?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we stayed together at Richie's house.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. What am I talking about? My bad. See, we traveled together this year. What are you trying to give me a hard time for? That's totally right. You beat me
Can I-
there. You took my spot.
Can I give you some tips though for some newbies as far as what you might want to take with you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
for me, just being a woman on the road, like I travel, try to be prepared for whatever could happen. So, I have a tool set, bring with you like some tools. You're going to find a place where you need hammers and duct tape and wrenches and ways to change your tire, this basic car maintenance, car replacement, like, when you're driving down a dark road and your headlight goes out and you don't know where you are, you need to have some like, spare light bulbs and things like that you can swap out. So I just believe in having like that kind of preparation for a trip because you just don't know, especially out west. If you travel out west and you are very long distances between any sort of town, like you need to prepare yourself for that and carry like the right stuff for the environment, carry some tools, carry and check in. So I always have like if I go somewhere, I let people know generally where I'm going, when I think I'm going to get there, just so someone knows in case I drop off the face of the planet. Like I have some sort of ETA. I'm not completely out there just disappearing to, off the face of the earth. So and it does get lonely sometimes, Alan. A little bit sometimes, but
Sure. I think you have to be kind of prepared for,
yeah.
like what you were saying, right? You get a lot of time to talk to yourself or
Yeah.
put on your Paddle and Fin podcast and entertain yourself.
Yeah.
Touche. I like that plug, Alan. Good job. Gold star, buddy.
Yeah.
He doesn't get
I
that
think
like Richie.
I get lonely sometimes for my friends if it's been a long time and I haven't really talked with anybody. So, or my family. So I think this next year, I want to get one of like those digital photo frames. Like I want to upload a bunch of like family pictures and things. Just sometimes when you're feeling a little, nostalgic, it's nice to have those with you to look at and not just have to like scroll through your phone. So I want to have like little something that I can take with me. I don't know if that sounds too cheesy, but
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, I can attest to that. So last year when we kicked off the season, right? Like that's where I first met Alan and Sam was in Kansas. And I remember it was like a 12.5 hour drive, got there, set up camp, go to the ramp the next morning. I remember I was going to put my boat in and Alan and Sam were getting ready to launch and Alan looked at me and he was like, "You're that like paddle and fin dude, right?" And we kind of, had a conversation and whatever, but like that was the first time I had ever met Alan. And, we talked at the weigh-in after the tournament and stuff, ran into each other on the water. Both those guys were talking about going out to Nickajack. But like that whole week I was out there, I did have one friend that came down fish with me for a day. But like other than that, I was totally by myself. And there was, a couple nights where I was just like, man, like this is rough, like I'd either, dial up a friend on the phone, look at some photos like you're talking about, stuff like
yeah,
that.
because you're not always where there's some internet always. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
right.
especially if you're in some of the more remote locations and stuff like that. So it just makes it nicer to have that, and it's funny, you get a little homesick sometimes and it's not enough like I want to go home kind of because I get home and then I want to leave. So it's nice to have that kind of touch, to have that kind of something that reminds you of that. And this year's going to be different because I've got this brand new base camp thing going on here. So that'll be nice. I don't, have a place that I can come and go from and launch on different trips and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to that and how that all works. And we'll see,
So
but
that's the unique part for me. Like when I, put all my stuff in storage, right? Like I don't have a place to go to.
mhm.
And I'm okay with that, right? I mean, I think about it every once in a while. Then I'll be like, well, no, I don't have anything to go back to Indiana for. I don't have that.
You got
right,
Sam.
stuff that's in a storage unit.
Yeah.
And so I kind of say, I don't live anywhere, but I live everywhere. It's kind of how I've told people.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about, the friends and stuff like that, so like with Brian, right? Like I'll talk to people. The kayak seems to be a way that attracts people at ramps and stuff like that. Or, I'll just maybe go somewhere just to watch TV or just be out with people and just strike up a conversation with somebody that's sitting next to me. And not that it's, I'm not a small talk type person, but, there's a bit of a personal connection somehow that gets made there. And I think that helps a little bit rather than just going back and sitting at the hotel room or sitting at the campsite all by myself. Allows me to have some interaction that isn't just on the phone, because I spend hours a day on conference calls for work.
Yeah, right.
And it's just having that in-person interaction helps quite a bit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's clutch, man. And it's like we talked about before. I think that's a great way to meet new people, like you were talking about, Alan, sharing your story in Wisconsin. You just struck up with a conversation with a guy at a restaurant, and next thing you know, he's offering you his camper, inviting you to dinner.
There's a lot of horror movies that start off like that.
I know, but
I would never do that, Alan. Like I think I would be hesitant to do something like that, and just with my gender, just to go show up some dude's camper. I just don't think that's like the start to every horror movie, you show up and then there's like all these chainsaws lined up in the back, and
it's like, what's with all the teddy bears? Are those cameras?
Yeah. Why is there a hole with a basket and a rope? I don't understand this.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, doing that isn't for everybody, right? You kind of have to decide what you're willing to do. And I was certainly sitting there thinking. I mean, honestly, the first thing that popped in my head was, are they inviting me over because they're swingers?
No. Is that a bad thing, Alan?
And Alan's like, I'm still going. I mean,
Alan,
I just want to know what I'm getting into. Like, really?
Yeah.
And then
what are you gonna
story out? So
he's like,
Lord.
I've been on the road a couple months. Why not?
That's a follow-up episode, Alan.
Alan, we'll invite you on the after hours for that one.
Yeah, start calling him Peg Boy.
Oh.
No, so while we were sitting there, they cleared that up for me. So there was a guy that came in across and he was sitting at the bar across from me, and the woman in this couple looks at me and she says, "You see that guy over there?" And I said, "Yeah." He says, "He and his wife used to be swingers." And I'm like, "Oh no, here it is. This is what I've been waiting for this whole time, as I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do this or not." And then she finally says, "Yeah, I just could never do anything like that." I was like, that's finally off the table.
She goes, anymore. Not since the hip surgery.
All right, back on track. Back on track, Jay. Come on, keep it clean, buddy.
It's been. I mean, I've met a lot of good people. Part of it too is, as we're doing this, right, is trying to grow your own brand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this has afforded me that opportunity to do it. I mean, so you touched on the Journeyman series. I mean, I have 10 terabytes of video to edit right now, which, if you don't know, that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Going on. But just people that I'll go out and we'll just get talking about it and just be like, hey, by the way, if you want to go check this out or hear more about me, right, here's my thing. And, you know, and I've made friends with people. I had a guy from Virginia that I was just organizing things after 2 tournaments. And so I kind of had things all across the bed of my truck. And he was in a car with himself and his wife and their daughter. And he says, hey, what do you do? And I said, well, I tournament fish. I'm out here just reorganizing stuff. And he says, well, I saw that great big hummingbird. I figured you must have been somebody doing something. And he offered, you know, gave me his phone number and said, hey, while you're here, if you need anything, just send me a text, you know, just whatever it is. And but then we got talking about being on the lake, and I'd gone out and caught some fish the next day and texted him, said, hey, here's the fish I caught. Here's how I caught them. He's like, oh, man, that's so great. I've really been struggling with this. And it's one of those that, you know, just tonight I sent him a text because now he's interested in getting involved in his own local kayak series.
That's cool.
You know, just trying to, I think we talked about this before, right? But just trying to be an ambassador for the sport. Not just me, but, you know, pushing myself, but the sport in general. And, you know, gets a lot of people in there that maybe wouldn't be able to go into the bass boat side, doesn't have the money for those kind of things, but want to be part of the little boat community.
That's super cool, man. I mean, and you're exactly right, man. That's what helps, you know, get people interested into the kayak fishing or just fishing in general. You know, who knows, that guy, you know, he's going to go out, catch a couple fish, maybe from your advice, take his daughter with. Now you're getting another generation into it. That's huge. That's huge. And I think that's, you know, it's so great. Like we always talk about the kayak fishing community, you know, we always have our ups and downs, but for the most part, we're all out there just trying to spread the word and show people, you know, the true fun of the outdoors and getting out on the water and catching fish, which is the most important thing, I think, personally.
It's been fun.
Well, very cool. Well, we're winding down here, guys. You know, it's almost been an hour, so I'll give you guys the floor to thank whoever you got to thank, give shout outs to whoever you need to, and plug your social media and all that good stuff. If you want to go ahead first, Catherine, it's all yours. Oh, Lord.
Oh, see, it's Katherine_field on Instagram. And then Kate Fishing I have a public Facebook page, Kate Fishing, and on YouTube as well. I do not have 10 terabytes of video, Alan. Well, I do, but it's a lot of catching dinks, losing fish, and me floating around talking about whatever I talk about on the water. But I don't know. I'm pretty excited for the year that's going to come up. I know we got some last tournaments. I'm hoping I might get to fish those, and I'm going to be joining the Hobie fishing team here with get a new Hobie kayak. So I'm waiting for that to work. Yeah, so I'll be switching over to that, and then you guys can. I do ambassador with Omnia Fishing, and so when I've been traveling, I've been making fishing reports in the different lakes that I go to, and the baits and stuff I've been using. So I think that's helpful for a lot of people who maybe want to travel and check out a lake. You're not sure what you want to bring or what's useful, or you're just getting started. That's a good way to do that. So you can follow me there as well, and you get like updates when I do a fishing report. So that's been a lot of fun for me in that. So that's it. I don't have any fancy schmancy sponsors or anything like that. So I'm just doing my thing.
Loves right here. She is one of the biggest pushers of your stops.
Loves, I love Loves. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What's funny is my friends know how much I love Loves, and they start tagging me when they're at Loves, and it's hilarious. It makes me so happy. But
Love's
That's
truck.
why, like,
truck stops in the
I've
back.
met the nicest people at Love's in the middle of the night. Like, I've met the nicest people there. So I've met some other kayakers in the middle of the night at Love's at like midnight, gassing up. So,
I've had to use the bathroom really bad and drove an extra hour just to get to a Love's.
because it's clean.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
So-
part of that is the COVID. I feel I've been trying to stay in places that I feel are a little less risky because I do not want that. So Love's is always very clean. And I know where everything is. So I don't have to like search all over it. Everything's always in a certain spot.
Hey, Catherine, are you doing Love's reviews? Like, this is the best Love's to stop at. They have the cleanest restrooms and all that stuff.
No. I don't
You should
want to do I don't want to do a restroom review.
But people want to
No.
know.
No, there's some that I don't want to be known as the restroom reviewer across the United States. So
It's like you can just call
I'll
it
skip
first
that.
impressions. No.
First on a scale of no.
Yeah. It's like, even if you wiped it off, no.
No. So
Go ahead, Alan.
All right. So, as we talked about, my YouTube channel is Under the Radar Fishing. My Instagram is also Under the Radar Fishing. Alan Reed on Facebook. And like I said, I have lots of video coming out. This whole editing thing is a whole nother deal. And
yeah.
and then I bought a 360 camera, or upgraded to a 360 camera, and that adds a whole nother complexity. But you can do some pretty cool stuff with it. So, but it makes the editing time that much more.
Dan Perry said 1 to 10 on a scale from outhouse to penthouse.
I like it. Dan Perry. You guys are gonna get me into restroom reviews now. I could just tell.
Hey, you know what? That's the thing. Like, I don't know if anybody's doing that. Yeah. That might be a niche. If you're
I don't want
already,
to. I'm gonna have to cogitate if this is really something I want for my own personal brand as the restroom reviewer. So
How about the hot dog quality?
Yeah,
Like,
hot dog quality.
dogs,
I don't want to be like that. I don't want somebody to recognize me in the middle of the Loves as like this famous restroom reviewer. That'd be really hard to
that
deal
would
with.
be funny.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, maybe that could be your niche, though. I don't know.
Oh God.
Oh, man.
How did we end up here?
Get back,
It's your
get
fault,
back to it, Alan.
Alan.
It's Dan Perry's fault. He did the outhouse to penthouse.
Oh, that's
quote.
true.
That's Dan's fault.
Back to where I was. No, I have a lot of people, like I said, they've been really supportive of me going out and doing this. And I think that, first off, thanks to them, the people that I reached out to and said, hey, should I do this? The people are very supportive of it. Certainly, there's people that have a lot of questions about it, and some of the watch outs, like trying to find internet and making sure that's available to you. Showers, I mean, that's another one, right? If you're not staying in a hotel all the time, making sure you have a place that you can shower.
Loves gas stations.
They do.
They have the best
Shower
showers too. See, now I'm a shower review.
Which is adjacent to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Just want to thank all the people that support me like that. I certainly have a number of companies that support me as well, but some of the main ones, right? TRC Covers is there, Trocar, Kyle with King Angler Rods. When I dropped my rod in the Lake Lanier, I was immediately on the phone to him and saying, hey, I need a replacement rod because I'm going to be using this thing probably in some of these upcoming tournaments. And he got a rod out to me, so very appreciative of that. Bonafide kayaks, my motor guide. Gosh, that makes it so nice especially down here in Pickwick, and they've been running current all week, so I can just hit that button and just sit there in the current. I don't have to work, and it just holds me in place. So that's a huge plus there. So I'm not going to go through everybody, but I appreciate everything that everybody, all the companies that back me have done for me, and all the people that have been back behind me too, because we can't do that. Even if we're on the road by ourselves, we can't do it without other people supporting us.
Yeah. I have some amazing friends that, that take the time when I've been out traveling to call me and see where I'm at and say hi and that they're thinking of me. And that sometimes that just is such a spirit lifter to have that kind of conversation. That's somebody took the time out of their day to give you a ring while you're out driving around, and it's meant a lot.
Heck yeah. Well, I just want to say thanks again, for you guys just taking the time out of your evenings tonight and share your stories and, maybe give some folks out there some advice or a little encouragement to get out there and get after it, So
If anybody has more questions, they can hit me up on social media and I'd be happy to answer. And if they need any tips or anything.
I'll post Alan's cell phone number in the chat. You can call him. I'm just kidding, Alan. He looks really serious right now. His connection.
I wonder if he
up.
can't hear us.
Yeah.
This might be a good thing.
Yeah. But feel free. We'll post links to their guys' social. If you guys are listening on the podcast, we'll post links to their social media in the show notes. If you guys are watching, we tagged both of these awesome anglers in the original post. Just go back, click on their name, and it should take you right to their pages. And feel free to hit them up. And just one more reminder, guys and gals, next week, Thursday, 8 p.m., launching all the details of the Paddle and Fin 2021 Trail Series. You excited, Jay?
Yes.
See,
I'm excited. I want more trails, so that'll be great.
Come on, guys.
I will say this, Kate. If I may call you Kate, can I call you?
Yeah,
Kate?
go ahead. Yeah.
There will be an event somewhat close to you next year. All right.
Dun dun.
But pretty much my coverage is coast to coast, so that could be anywhere, Brian.
It'll be closer than the coast. I'll say that.
All right, that's good. Right.
Thanks again, you guys, for coming on tonight. It was a great conversation. Love the laughs. And I think our guy Dustin chimed in there. He said his nickname is actually Doo-Doo, so he'll take the bathroom reviews off your hands.
Go for it, Dustin.
All right, guys and gals. Until next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Tight lines, smooth paddling.